If the tools and methods we showed you in our previous tutorial simply aren't helping you anymore and you want to try something on a more expert level, then the pen tool is definitely for you. I'll show you an example. You can see that on this image that I've loaded up, I have a beach ball, but while it's typically a rounded shape, a tool like the elliptical marquee tool really won't help me because the ball is not a perfect circle. The other selection tools are also kind of worthless for this occasion as well, and this is where we can introduce the pen tool. You can find it in the tools menu right next to the type tool or by pressing P on your keyboard. Click to define your first anchor point and make sure that's exactly in between the background and foreground subject. And when you click to define the second one, press and hold and move around your mouse so that you can get the curved line to fit right along the edges of the ball. Now this may take a lot of practice till you can get it right, but if you make a mistake, you can right click here to show the other tools underneath the pen tool, and you can choose convert point tool. Now you can single click and hold again on already created points, and you can edit them. You can see I can move this around until I fit it right along the edges. Now I'll go back to my pen tool and I will create another point, just like so. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'll just create a quick path for the purpose of this tutorial. So here I am with my already created path. You can see that I definitely have some flaws over here on the top section and in the bottom section. But here comes the hidden power of the pen tool and its paths. Instead of working with pixels, it works with vectors, which makes for a much more effective selection. Now you can open the paths panel over here on the bottom side, and if you don't have that, you can enable it from window and then choose paths. Nonetheless, after you go to paths, you have this single item here called work path. If of course you created your path correctly, you can right click on this and choose make selection. And as I mentioned, since the pen tool works with vectors, you can of course define a feather radius in pixels and choose whether you want anti-aliasing to be turned on or off. For your first time, I recommend to leave all these settings by default. 1 for a feather radius in pixels and anti-aliasing turned on. And if you make sure these settings are this way, you can press the OK button. And to refine your selection and make sure it's perfect, you can use the tools that you already know for selections in all their 4 different modes. And of course, the good old refine edge dialog box, which can always save us. Smooth out your selection, make sure it looks just fine, and if you're ready and you think everything looks okay, double click on your background layer to turn it into a regular one, then make sure you select inverse to select the background, press delete, and you have the background perfectly removed.